Welcome to this series of videos on GMAT preparation for the quantitative reasoning section. We know that the GMAT 800 is scored out of the quantitative reasoning and verbal reasoning. Quantitative reasoning is scored on a scale that ranges from Q6 to a Q51. Today we will be looking at the topic of probability and we will be looking at some sample questions as part of our video series. Let's begin. When two people are selected at random from a group of 4 females and 4 males, what is the probability that at least one female is selected? Okay, so we are dealing with probability here. So let's see the number of favorable outcomes divided by probability is always P is equals to total number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. Hashtag is number. So the number of favorable outcomes is total outcome minus when there is no female. So the total number of ways where you can select 2 people is out of this group of 4 female and 4 males will be, there are a total of 8 people, males and 4 females. You just select 2 out of them. And how can you have no females? That means you have both people who are selected are males. So out of the 4 males you can select 2 and foresee 2 ways. What is the probability that at least one female is selected? So by doing this you are selecting at least one female. It comes as 𝗳𝗑𝗿 is 8 into 7 divided by 2 minus 4 into 5 divided by 2. You have 4 7s are 28 minus 10 which is 18. And you have total number of outcomes is you will have to select the total number of outcomes is you have to select 2 people out of 8. It is 𝗳𝗑𝗿 7 divided by 2, that is 28. So your probability of at least one female is equals to 18 divided by total, that is 28. That is 9 by 14. Comes out to be option C is the answer. Let's see what is the next question. What is the probability of flipping a fair coin 2 times and the coin landing on heads on both flips? A fair coin means it has equal probability of it landing on heads or tails. That's why the probability of heads is equal to half and the probability of tails will be equal to half as well. And it's flipped twice and the coin landing on heads on both times. So you want the probability of 2 flips, it should be heads and it should be heads again. That out of the 2 outcomes it should be head twice, so that will be 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 which is equals to 1 by 4, which is option B. Here because it's an AND we multiply, if it were an OR we would add. So the probability of it landing on heads twice is 1 by 2 into 1 by 2. First probability of first flip landing on heads is half, and then the probability of second flip is again half. So it's half into half, it's 1 by 4. Let's move forward to the next question. The probability that a certain variety of plant produces a yellow flower is 1 by 5. If 2 such plants are selected at random, what is the probability that there are no yellow flowers? Okay. When the probability to produce a yellow flower is 1 by 5, then the probability of no yellow flower will be what? 1 minus 1 by 5? It is 4 by 5 is the probability of a plant not having yellow flowers. Now they are asking there are 2 such plants are selected at random. What is the probability that there are no yellow flowers? So you selecting 2 for 2 outcomes, 2 non-yellow flowers. It will be 4 by 5 into 4 by 5, which is equals to 16 by 25. The answer is option D. Here we are taking 2 such plants at random and they are both not yellow. So the first plant is also not yellow and the second plant is also not yellow. So 4 by 5 into 4 by 5 is 16 by 25. Let's move forward to the next question. 2 fair 6-sided dice are thrown once. Find the probability of getting prime number on each die. The prime numbers are 2, 3 and 5. So you have 3 prime numbers out of the 6 possible dice outcome. So 2 fair 6-sided dice are thrown once. Find the probability that getting prime on each of the dice. So you have 3 numbers. The probability that on one die that is a prime number is you have 3 prime numbers out of which you will select one, divided by 6, that is 6 the total number of outcomes. So 3 by 6 is the probability of it landing on prime for one throw, but there are two dice that are thrown. So and you want probability of getting prime number on each of these dice, on both the dice. So the probability of 2 throws being 2 dice are thrown, both landing on prime will be the first die having a prime, that is 1 by 2. The second die also having a prime is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 is 1 by 4. The answer is option B. Let's move forward to the next question. If the probability of rain on any given day in city X is 50%, what is the probability that it rains on exactly 3 days in a 5-day period? Probability of rain is half, and that's why the probability of no rain on any given day will also be half. Now they are asking probability that it rains on exactly 3 days in a 5-day period. So you select the 3 days from the given 5 days in 5C3 ways, and since probability of rain in these 3 days will be half, so half will be multiplied 3 times, so half raised to power of 3, and the remaining 2 days there is the probability of no rain is 1 by 2 whole to the power of 2. Here it is saying it is raining exactly 3 days. So the other 2 days it is not raining. So that is the probability of half raised to 2. So the total probability that we need to calculate of raining on exactly 3 days is 5C3 into half to the power of 3 into half to the power of 2. So 5C3 is 5 into 3, 4 into 3 divided by 1, 2, 3 into half to the power of 3 is 8 and half to the power of 4, 1 by 4, so 1 by 4. Here 3 gets cancelled, 2 2s are, 2 2s are, you are left with 5 by 16. Probability is 5 by 16, that is option C is our answer. Let's look at another question. 2 integers will be randomly selected from the sets above, 1 integer from set A and 1 integer from set B. What is the probability that the sum of the 2 integers will equal 9? Where we are given 2 sets here, A and B. The sum needs to be 9. What does that mean? One is, you are selecting 2 integers randomly, one from set A and one from set B. Let's see the combinations which will give us the sum as 9. You have 2 in set A, then and you will have to combine it with 7 in set B. Okay, this can be one of the outcomes. Or you have a 3 in set A, then you have to have a 6 in set B. This is one of the outcomes. You have 4 in set A, it will be a 5 in set B. One again, the next one is you will have a 5 in set A and a 4 in set B. So these are the favorable outcomes, that is sum being equal to 9. The total number of outcomes of two integers randomly selected will be A has 4. So, you select one of the numbers in 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 from A, into B has 5. So, you are selecting one amongst those 5. So, the total number of outcomes is 𝗧𝗦𝗏 into 𝗵𝗬𝗏. So, the probability will be, our favorable outcomes are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 favorable outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes are 𝗧𝗦𝗏, that is 4, into 𝗵𝗬𝗏 is 5, which is probability comes out as 1 by 5, which is 0.2. Answer is option B. Let's see what the next question is. Certain event has only outcomes A or B, and they are equally likely and mutually exclusive. Out of 5 random occurrences of the event, what is the probability that fewer than half result in an outcome of A? Okay, so you have 2 outcomes A and B. Since they are equally likely and mutually exclusive, A will be half, because equally likely events, and there are only 2 outcomes, A or B. There are no other outcomes and they are equally likely. So, the probability will be half for each of these. Probability P will be half. P of A is half, P of B is half. And out of 5 random occurrences, what is the probability that fewer than half result in outcome of A? Fewer than half, 5 is 2.5, but these are outcomes. So, let us say less than equal to 2. So, let us say there are 0 A's and 5 B's. What is the probability of having that? Is this 1 by 2 whole to the power of 5. Or you have 1 A's and 4 B. So, you will have to select one from the 5. One of the outcomes will have A and 4 other outcomes will have B. Or you can have 2 A's and 3 B's. So, you select 2 out of the 5, in which half to the power of 2 and half to the power of 3 for B. There should be 3 B's. So, the total probability comes out to be 1 by to the power of 5 plus 𝗵𝗬𝗏 into 1 by 2 to the power of 5 plus 𝗵𝗬𝗏 is, we are taking half 2 to the 1 by 2 to the power of 5 common. You are left with 1 plus 𝗵𝗬𝗏 is 5, 𝗵𝗬𝗏 is 5 into 4 divided by 1 into 2. So, this is 1 by 32, 2 to the power of 5 is 32 into 1 plus 5 plus 10, 16. It comes out to be 16 2s is 32, 1 by 2. Answer is option E. I hope this was clear. They asked us to find the probability of that fewer than half results in the outcome of A. So, it is 0A and 5B, or it's 0 times A, or 1 time A, or 2 times A. It is fewer than half the results in outcome A. Let's look at more questions on this. Of the 300 employees of a certain company, 65 are accountants. 2 employees of the company will be selected at random without replacement. Which of the following is closest to the probability that neither of the employees selected will be an accountant? Out of 300 employees, that is total number of employees, you have 65 accountants. Let us say 300 minus 65, that is equals to 235 are non-accountants. So, they are asking us neither of the employees should be accountant. 2 employees will be selected at random without replacement. So, how can you do that? You can select 2 out of, so the probability is favorable minus favorable divided by total number of outcomes. They are selecting 2 at random, and the probability that neither is employee selected will be accountant. So, they are both selected from the non-accountant pool. So you will have 235 C2 or else divided by 300 C2, that is selecting 2 out of 300 employees. 235 into 234 divided by 2, 300 into 299 divided by 2. You have 235 into 234 divided by 300 into 299. Make an approximate calculation for this. 235 into 234 can be written as 240 into 240 divided by 300 into 299 can be written as 300 into 300. 299 is very close to 300, you can just round it up. So here you will be left with 3 8s are 24. So you have 8 square divided by 10 square, that is 8 8s are 64 divided by 100, it is approximately equal to 0.6. You approximated the answer to option D, which is 0.6. Let's look at more questions on this. First 15 positive integers are written on a board. If two numbers are selected one by one from the board at random, the numbers are not necessarily different. What is the probability that sum of these numbers is odd? Okay, so they are selecting two numbers and you can have a repetition because they are not necessarily different. Okay, and you need to check the probability when the sum of these numbers comes out as odd. When will the sum of two numbers come out odd? When either it is odd and even, odd plus even, odd the first one and the second one is even, and or otherwise the first one is even and the second one is odd. So the probability that the sum is equals to odd is equals to out of 15 you have when you have 15 numbers 1 to 15, the first 15 positive integers, you have 7 even and 8 odd numbers. So either the first one is odd or the second one is odd. First one is odd and second is even, or the first one is even and second one is odd. There are two different combinations in which you can have this, and you are selecting 1 out of the 7 even numbers and you are selecting 1 out of the 8 odd numbers. Whole divided by just selecting 2 numbers. First one can be selected in 15 ways and the second one can also be selected in 15 ways. So this comes out as 2 into 7 into 8 is nothing but 7 into 8 is 56, into 2 is 112 and 15 into 15 is 225. So the probability that the sum is odd is 112 divided by 225, that is option E. So those were some sample questions on our topic for today, that is probability. Hope they were clear. Let's meet in the next class. Thank you.